dawn of time, or really since 1984, we've all been asking ourselves, Qu'est-ce que Espos Custodes? Which translates to, who watches The Watchmen? We found out this episode of HBO's 2019 Watchmen sequel show. Hello. Hi, I'm Ron Leopoulos. This is Ben Magnet. That's Sparks Witty. Welcome to a great new edition of the Fake Nerds Watch, where we watch Watchmen.
Yeah.
Lots of
Fake Nerds Watchmen?
Fake Nerds Watchmen.
Fake Nerds Watchmen.
It started as Knights of the Watch, became the Watchmen's. Welcome to the first episode of a really, really, really good show. Oh my gosh, guys.
Oh, yeah. What was that famous line Mark McFly says? Oh yeah, this is heavy.
It's very heavy. It starts really heavy.
Yes.
Real quick, this is a sequel to the 1984 comic that I have a tattoo of. Yep. I'm a big fan. I got real lucky this year. I got a Swamp Thing adaptation and a Watchmen adaptation, and so far they're both great. So, Good job, Ryan. Good job me picking good things. This is a sequel to a comic book. There was a movie in 2009. It's fine. It looks really pretty. That's about the extent I can say to that. I know all of us have read the comic here, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, I think a lot of people going into this maybe haven't read the comic or have only seen the movie, which I think on both cases is going to be confusing for a lot of people, but much like jumping into a crazy world-building, crazy sci-fi world, you just kind of get used to it. And I think this first episode does a really good job of just slamming you into this world, and it's like, you gotta be ready for it, you kind of just gotta accept it, and you're not going to get all your information in the first episode. It's a mystery. Much like the comic book was.
Hell, even all of us didn't get out the information. Even we read the book, and there was things that made a lot of sense. We're like, oh, hey, I get that reference. I get that. What's going on here? And even then, we still don't know everything from the first episode, which I'm in for this. I am buckled in. I'm ready for this crazy ride that we're going to go for. This is great.
Yes.
Episode 1 is called It's Summer and We're Running Out of Ice.
Yes.
Which is an Oklahoma reference.
Yes, it's a hot day. It's a really hot day in Tulsa, 1921, guys.
Oh, it is a bad day in Tulsa, 1921.
Let's start at the beginning of this episode with a nice movie playing of this black sheriff with a mask on. Marshall.
Yeah.
And this is based off a real person. I forget. Do you remember his name? It was Bass.
It was Bass Jerome or something. It starts with a J. His last name starts with a J.
He's a real person. He's this real folk hero of one of this black marshal who I believe he captured 3,000 people. I think that's like the record I saw online or something.
Really?
Yeah, so he's this actual guy, like this real cool guy. And they didn't make actual movies of him, but that's where we're introduced to him. Yeah. He's a masked vigilante character, basically.
He's a marshal in the Oklahoma Territory.
Yes.
There's a young African-American kid singing in the theater. Like, it's 1921, so of course his mom is playing the piano. And the kid is watching this movie and quoting the lines, like, because there's this line he quotes, which is, "There will be no mob justice today, trust the law."
Yes.
Which is a line in the silent movie.
Yes.
But then the camera pans to the piano player, which is apparently his mom. She is distraught.
She's crying.
You can tell she is freaking out, and then an explosion happens.
And he's the only one in the theater, which also is probably a bad sign.
Yeah. Also, just a super uncommon kind of film to begin with.
Yes.
Black actors are not leads in movies at that time.
Oh,
yes.
no. Not
Never,
in the 20s.
ever.
Not in the 20s.
Yes.
So that, let alone as people who will hunt down a white man and punish him and bring him to justice and have other white people applaud them for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right off the bat.
Yeah, so it's starting
quite a tone.
It's starting right away with some pretty heavy political stuff, which, you know, Watchmen is not one to shy away from political stuff.
No.
Like it's kind of its bread and butter, baby. And then we cut to the town of Tulsa in the race riot massacre of 1921, which I didn't know was a real thing. Since this episode started, a lot of people are realizing this is a real event that happened, that this comic book show had to educate us about. And it's really kind of sad that we did not learn about this kind of thing, where over 100 black people in Tulsa were killed by the entire town.
Yeah.
And, like, the government, like, didn't help with it, but they didn't stop it. And they actually had planes bombarding their buildings and stuff. And I'm like, this feels like a comic book, but this really happened. And to start your comic book show like this sets a really heavy precedent and a really heavy tone. It's like, oh, this is for real, you guys. Yeah, this is not that movie.
I didn't think it was real until you were texting about it. You said that event happened. I looked on Twitter, and a friend of the show, our friend Trevor, apparently he grew up in Tulsa, and he didn't know about it until recently.
Yeah, and that's pretty crazy, man.
It's some bonkers shit, and you're starting your show with this. Like, the kid gets into the crate in the car, bullets instantly start whizzing
His
by
parents,
in his crate.
You mentioned a great, like, this is our Superman, right? Like, you said, like, it's very Kryptonian or something?
Yeah, well, actually, I went with Kakarot first.
Kakarot, sorry. It's all the same.
No, it's all the same. It's all the same.
Goku, yeah.
Yeah, it's par for the course of, like, we constantly don't know about things that white people did really poorly to other races in our history, and this is a fine example of, like, hey, we don't talk about this, and it's like, yeah,
but we should.
Probably should.
Yeah, because there are Klan members, there are people throwing Molotov cocktails into storefronts, there are people just screaming for their lives and getting shot for no good, like people in biplanes.
It's anarchy,
This is 1921, and people were flying planes and shooting random citizens from the sky. I'm like, this shouldn't happen, but it effing did.
It was like, I didn't look into it that much, but from what I understand, it was like the city just came together with the government officials and were like, we're just gonna take them all out. I'm just like, oh boy, this is a comic book show, isn't it? But you know what, man, that's okay, because sometimes you need to learn this shit, and what better way than a great medium like Watchmen? It's like, hey, let's teach you about Vietnam. America sucks, right?
And also, it's HBO, so you know they're not going to be pulling punches.
Yeah. So the little guy that we're following, his parents put him in a crate, and he gets whooshed away.
He also gets a note from his dad.
Yes.
The note that says, "Watch over this boy." He stuffs it in his pocket. And they're driving from Tulsa. Bullets are whizzing by. He's in the crate. It goes to black, and he wakes up in a field.
There was an explosion of some kind.
There was an explosion. The car is wrecked. The two drivers were dead, and luckily the driver's baby is still alive.
Being wrapped. So yeah, the main kid wraps the baby up in an American flag, and he rises up with the town behind him on fire.
Oh, I didn't notice that was
it was an American flag. Yeah.
Oh,
and he's carrying this child away from the burning town, and I'm like, man, there's some symbolism. There's some shit going on in this first 10 minutes.
We'll talk more about it, but everything about cinematography and design and everything, this feels like this could have been the comic.
Yeah.
Very easily. You can see where the shots would have been in a comic.
Yeah.
Good job to everybody on the crew for pulling that off. And they really did.
The
especially transitions, transitions, and the music that goes with it.
You see the film, the town on fire, the town of Tulsa on fire, and then it jumps forward in time. It's a modern city now.
Almost 100 years.
Yeah, you're right. Almost 100 years. Almost 100 years. Guy's driving a truck, gets pulled over, and now we see the first cop wearing a mask.
So the 1921 Tulsa, that's the regular world, like the Watchmen comic world. Like that's an actual event that happened. It's really not until the 1940s with the Minutemen that comic book stuff in the real world starts happening, right? So that's just an event that happens that influences the future of Watchmen. So like there's nothing really comic booky or like Dr. Manhattan about that yet, because we'll talk about that kid later. But it cuts to the future, and a routine traffic stop happens, and we see a cop wearing a yellow mask.
God, that reveal.
Yeah. Not only do we see him wearing a yellow mask, he also walks up and said, "This is going to be recorded. Do you consent?" And the driver says yes. We get a date. It's September of 2019.
Yep.
It's a routine traffic stop in Oklahoma, and they're talking, and then finally it's like, "Oh, can I see your face?" And then the camera cuts to the cop, because when he walks to the truck,
it's just his shoes and stuff.
It's his shoes and his uniform.
We see the cop. We don't see his.
Exactly.
We don't see above his shoulders.
Yeah.
That's when we pan up and we see his face.
Yeah, and his mask is like covering up to here. So from here down, it's all covered.
And he's black.
Yeah.
Pulling over a white man.
Yeah.
In a white man setup of a, commonly harassed sense of
being pulled over.
Setup, like putting him in that role that would be very commonly reversed in real life.
And you brought up a good point. I don't know if it was when it was happening or after, but you're like, doesn't he have a body cam?
Yeah, because he brings up the recording.
We will bring that up later, but it is fascinating world building that technology has advanced very differently after the Squid Attack of 1984, which we'll talk about way later, which is very subtle stuff that I didn't catch on the first viewing.
That's
It's like a lot of technology stuff that's like, why isn't it the way it is now? It's because there was a huge scare.
Not just technology, but world building as well, because as the scene progresses, the cop goes back into a squad car, pulls down his mask and radios HQ, and he can't get his gun out.
His gun is
locked.
Yeah.
You have to have certain protocol to draw your weapon.
So there's I just wanted to touch on the reversal of the white guy in the role, which is that he's very much painted into a position of what would be, you are being harassed because you are type A, which, in real life would be you are black. You are white Southern seeming trash kind of person. And then it would be like, oh man, this is profiling and this is not great that their cop is doing it. But at the same token, it's like, oh yeah, but he's actually is like total garbage, and, he's right to be suspicious in every way.
He opens his glove drawer, his glove box.
The Rorschach mask is the indicator.
Yeah, the Rorschach mask is the indicator, and that's when shit goes down.
Yeah, but I will touch on the interesting way that they play the complicated ends of it later with what's actually in his trunk. The gun lock mechanism is something.
Also, real quick, we see a Rorschach mask, and this is the first indication of the post Watchmen world. Rorschach to us is at least for the comic, he's not necessarily a hero, but he is a vigilante who did a good thing by exposing the corruptness of
He's a folk hero.
He's a folk hero, yes, and with that, people turn his ideals and his methods.
They twist them.
They twist them into their own versions of what they think they should be. So
essentially, they cherry pick the stuff they like and the stuff they believe in,
much like
they run with
a cult or a religion or anything. They use the stuff that they want to hear. And they turn Rorschach basically into a white supremacist, a folk hero, which I'm sure he's not a fan of. But like you can see why people respond that way.
And like
Rorschach's kind of crazy.
They have Rorschach masks, but they're not like his.
No,
they are a combination of his like basic general design. But they are a mix of that with what would be Ku Klux Klan.
Yes. It's really good imagery, man. Yeah,
it is. It is bonkers.
So the routine traffic stop goes bad. Because the cop saw the Rorschach mask, that guy decides to use a semi-automatic silenced weapon and doesn't kill the cop, but he shoots him to death thinking he killed him.
He shoots him enough, thinking that he is dead.
Then he throws a bag of lettuce.
As he was stopped, the cop asked him, he's like, what are you hauling? He said lettuce. He's like, can I take a look? And that's when the guy says, can I take a look at your face?
Yes. I'm still not convinced that he didn't just have lettuce. I think he did have bad stuff. But as a cruel joke.
But that's what prompts the cop to go back to the squad car, see the Rorschach mask and everything. Because the white guy had to say, can I take a look at your face? And that's where we get the reveal of the cop being masked.
See, that's the thing is, I think he probably, I love this, because you can debate all the angles. I think he was just transporting lettuce.
You think so?
I think that he is a shitty person who is part of all this, but he happened to just be profiled in that moment and just was sick of it. Because, like, that's me
profiling this guy.
That is the more conflicting angle, is that, like, he was the shitty guy, so he did go off anyway, but he really was just transporting the lettuce.
So why did he shoot him?
Because he also is 7th Cavalry. Because
he's
also 7th Cavalry. And like he was already drunk. That part was true. He was drinking and driving. So he was going to get busted for that either way. But like I do think he was in this instance only transporting lettuce.
That's spicy.
Because it makes it all more complex. Like it's never black and white.
Yeah, because at the time, look at what happens in the news. People get stopped, pulled over, and they're like, "Oh, I'm transporting this," and then they're
not even transporting anything.
Or they're not taking anything, and then it turns out to be the one thing, and it's a whole jumble mess. Like him tossing the head of lettuce into the squad car after he shoots the cop is like
you could have avoided this.
Yeah,
bam.
It's like a middle finger. But of course, since this guy is 7th Cavalry, and we're gonna get into it later, he's also a racist son of a bitch who just wants to kill him.
And still a murderer.
What do you guys think of, like, in order to get the gun unlocked, the cop has to be asked, like, do you feel you are in immediate danger?
I would say it is based off of it's a sense of world building that's a lot different. And I because this is an alternate history, it's an alternate universe. That's what Watchmen was. That's what the comic was. That's what this is.
Yeah.
So obviously things have happened in the past, like say the 90s, early 2000s, or what.
We have to remember. We have to remember that vigilantes were a thing, and then they were outlawed, and now the cops are the vigilantes.
The cops are the vigilantes.
Right.
So it's such a weird precedent to have your vigilantes need permission to use their weapons.
Well, it's a thing now. Because obviously, look at today's society.
It's
look at all the accounts of police killing unarmed black men and women. Police drawing their guns for reasons that they shouldn't have.
Brutality in general.
Yeah.
So my point being with the question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So he's asking, are you in immediate danger? Do you feel like the cop was in immediate danger? Because obviously,
yeah.
like, knowing what happens soon after, yes, of course he was.
Well,
but with what was set up before that moment, was he in immediate danger?
I don't
Or
think
is
he
that
was.
just prejudice?
It's probably prejudice.
And, like,
It's
I'm
part
not saying, like, the cop's in the wrong or anything, like, but I like that there's all the sides of, like, you know what? Everybody's...
If I found a Ku
believing
Klux
different
Klan
things.
hood in there, I would still feel...
sure.
I would probably feel threatened.
For sure.
Okay, to answer your question, Sparks, I have your answer in twofold. Before we know what was going on, before we knew what the Rorschach mask meant, no, I don't think he was in immediate danger. Now that we know that the Rorschach mask represents the 7th Cavalry, which is a white supremacist group in this universe, yes, if I was in that cop situation, I would have been like, give me my gun.
Yeah,
just
after
in
the mask
case.
reveal, it's...
The second I see a mask, I know what that means in this universe. I know what that entails in this universe. Even though I may have the same skin tone as the guy, I'm still grabbing my gun just to be safe.
And even like when he's talking to Panda, he's like, he has a Rorschach mask, meaning that means something in this world.
Yeah.
So like, I probably still want the gun.
For sure.
You raise interesting questions. I like
Well,
that.
I posit that, like, I was bothered in the moment, like, that the cop took his eyes off of him for so long while he's saying, I'm in immediate danger.
Yeah.
It feels like I will feel more comfortable with my gun, for sure, but not necessarily I believe this man is about to commit violence against me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in that situation, he would have at least asked him to step away from the vehicle, where he could see him, all these kinds of things, and I just like we could nitpick every.
No,
thing,
that's you raise real questions. Though,
it's why I really like the show, because it's all these different pieces of like how much in the right was he?
Yeah.
How much in the wrong was he?
It's more gray.
Yeah.
I'm just glad he didn't die. That's what.
Me too.
At first, I thought he was dead. I thought he was straight dead. I'm like, oh,
he got shot a lot.
I imagine he's wearing some type of body, something.
So
but
kind of like what British police do.
Yeah.
So you guys know what British police do, right?
They don't have guns.
Well, also even the beat cops, they always wear body armor. They always wear vests. Like there's a special division of armed officers that do show up if a situation gets violent. This is in England, by the way. And
Jolly good.
yeah. So, but all the officers that, once again, I know of, I've never been to the country. I want to someday. But all the regular police officers, you will see and wear their even in other countries, they will wear their full body armor on
They
the
have
job.
knife attacks there pretty
Unfortunately,
regularly.
yeah, unfortunately, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
I know that's a problem in England with cops, but they still wear body armor just in case.
It's probably a good
As far as I know, I could be wrong on some accounts, but that's just what.
There's so much to mine here.
Yes.
We're only 2 scenes in.
Oh my God.
All right.
This
This
is such a good show, though.
Moving on through the episode.
Yeah. So we get the cop.
This is how we meet Judd.
Is this in Oklahoma time?
Yeah. So we're seeing a production of what they call Black Oklahoma.
We can't call it that though.
We call it Oklahoma, but
Yeah.
the cast is all African American.
It's just a joke because she calls it Black Oklahoma, but we
She
can't.
does.
Yeah.
Which is the beginning of a trend you're going to see throughout the rest of the film of like a whole lot of black art and culture represented in ways that we just don't see in our world.
No.
And it's everywhere, and this is very much implied to be connected to refordations. Redfordations. Thank you. Redfordations, which comes up later, but like this implication that that's made a huge difference actually in the way black people are treated in society, the way they're recognized in society.
It's almost like a second form of racism. Like now, like white people are like, oh, they got paid money, so now we can be racist again towards them. At least with the little kid, it kind of seems like.
Well, that's
definitely
like 7th Cavalry beliefs, but I mean, like that's entirely based in like what white supremacy is. That like white supremacy, if you want to boil it down, is just entirely based in like I'm afraid of the day the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's all it is. I'm afraid of being treated the way I treated them.
Yes.
And this is them feeling like this is a step, like, you know, if they're taking this kind of step, then down the road they're going to be doing all the things that we did to them. Eventually we're going to be slaves. That's the ideology. I mean, even if it's not explicitly stated, that's the ideology. And so seeing how Redfordations has, like, improved the lives of Black America is really cool.
Yeah.
All the little touches. Like, the one scene that really gets me is later. I'm jumping forward, but when Regina King's walking to her shop, and she walks by the mural of all the Black people, like just all these iconic imageries. I'm like, oh man, what a different world.
Yeah, it's a very interesting world. Yeah, because it's very similar to ours, but just different enough where it's like, oh, okay.
I do love. What's her name? Her character's name, Regina King.
I know her name is Sister Knight.
I'll look up.
That's her superhero name.
That's rad.
It's a pretty dope name.
That is rad.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's why she's like a nun.
Yeah, she's a killer nun, dude.
Okay, so until I remember what her name is, Regina King. I freaking love her.
Yeah, she's
I
great.
also really, for a split second, I thought that in the book, Vietnam becomes the 51st state. Of the United States.
Well, I mean that is the trajectory.
We'll get there. So let's go back to the introduction of Judd.
Let's
that happened at Oklahoma, and we see him, and he finds out about the cop shooting, all that stuff.
Judd, Don Johnson plays this awesome commissioner of the Tulsa Police.
He's the chief of police.
Chief of police.
Her name is Angela Abraham.
Angela.
Awesome.
Gotcha. Okay, I figured we saw some character stuff.
Wait, what?
It's saying it, but I'm still not sure. But yeah, we're introduced to Judd. He's at a production of Oklahoma. He has 2 seats next to him that are vacant, which we learn later is where Angela and her husband is supposed to be.
Who was Black Manta?
He was Black Manta.
I cannot say his name, but I saw his name in the credits. I'm like, that's Black Manta.
Good for him. I'm sticking with the DC stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. So Judd hears that the cop was shot, and then he goes and visits him in the hospital. So we meet Judd, who's the chief of police, and then we meet LG Looking Glass,
who's Tim Blake Nelson. Yeah,
dude. Remind me who Tim Blake Nelson is.
He's a character actor in everything. Oh, brother,
Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
He's the one who's trying to help Edward Norton.
Okay.
He's in Holes. With Sigourney Weaver.
Oh!
Yeah.
He's like that character actor who's like, oh, he's in everything.
Question: Is he the same guy who's what was that? Ernest.
No,
that's not a different guy. Okay,
that's not him.
But I do remember him in Holes.
Yeah,
I do remember him in Holes. Oh my god!
Looking Glass is this super southern drawled Oklahoma superhero.
Well, he is
mustache.
Commonly a far more comedic character actor.
Yeah.
This is a serious turn for him.
This is a great
in an impressive way. I'm so happy for him.
I love him.
Yeah. He has such like a cool deep voice. And
I love his mask too.
He is basically like an inverse Rorschach.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to find the right way to describe it, because Rorschach's all about like looking to see like what you want to see, but Looking Glass reflects on what you are.
I just saw a version of Watchmen where Tim Blake Nelson played that character 20 years ago, and I'm like, man, that would have been something.
Yeah, and he's not like an imposing dude. He's like a short, skinny dude. Yeah. But it's all about his mind and the way that he talks to you. That's like really, really like kind of haunting.
It is. It's kind of scary.
He's like the best interrogator of all time.
Oh god!
We get
to his interrogation. So I can't wait to take that apart. But frickin', we see Looking Glass, and then I want to say Judd goes to the cop's wife.
Yes.
And this is where we know obviously the mask.
Importantly, he tells Looking Glass he doesn't want to call Angela.
Oh, right.
He's not going to call her in right now.
Yeah, right.
He's not going to call in any of the big ones.
No, they're just going to keep this quiet for right now. Mm-hmm. And he goes to the cop's wife, which I also kind of dig. And we get this in explanation
It's another good world
but it's a world-building piece of Judd talking to the cop's wife. It's like, did anyone know he was police? Because obviously he was wearing a mask. They don't want to know their identities.
You know that's against the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people still talk.
Which, I got really scared because I was now afraid that Judd was going to be kind of a reverse bad guy in a way.
I almost got that feeling too.
But luckily when he was talking to the wife, he's like, all right, well, just want to be clear. We're going to keep this quiet for now. Make sure, but we're going to take care of him. And I was like, okay.
There's a really sweet little moment that's good for Judd, where she's like, "Oh, he likes you, Judd," and he's like,
"He liked you."
He liked him. He's like,
"People
like me."
No. What she says is, "He liked you," and he says, "He likes me."
Oh, because
he's saying he's alive.
That's even
he's
better.
Gonna live.
Right. Yeah.
He likes me.
Yeah.
Right.
That's even better.
Yeah,
that is.
I was gonna say Judd never. There's a very specific reason that I never thought Judd was going to be a bad guy, or there was going to be a reverse turn on him, and it's because they very specifically, when they show us the Oklahoma audience, he and his wife are the only white people there.
Yeah,
you're right.
They're the only ones, and I'm like, he is clearly pro black people,
he is
pro black culture.
He is not
wanting to be supportive and be a part of this.
Essentially, is not a dick.
Yeah,
and that is not shown
a
lot in this show outside of like characters like Looking Glass and people who are associated with the police department.
Yeah,
regular citizens. We don't see a whole lot of like. There's not a lot of opportunity necessarily for it, but we don't see a lot of white people necessarily in those kind of positions. It's very specifically an entirely black audience, except for those two.
Yeah, he was also front and center. Just saying.
Yeah. So then, do we cut to
I want to say
Angela?
We cut to Angela doing her cooking.
Did you guys get the wording that she was doing, separating the whites from the yolks?
Yeah.
Son of a
man.
Not only that, but the imagery, because I called it out to you. It's a smiley face.
It's a freaking smiley.
Like separating
comic book,
the bad stuff from the good stuff, and I'm like, man, this is like. It's just subtle enough where if you don't pay attention, but it's like, man, they're really going for it.
So I have words about the last scene, but that's later. But I didn't realize it was a smiley face until about 2 minutes later.
Absolutely.
That was a frickin' smiley face.
I was sitting there next to Ryan, and I'm like,
come on.
Oh my god. But it's so good. It's so good.
You're right. It's subtle. It's one of those things where you're watching a show called Watchmen. Of course there's going to be those things around there.
So this is Angela in the classroom.
Yes.
And this is where we find out that she's from Vietnam.
Yes.
And I was like, dang. I didn't think
before it came a stage.
I didn't think this is what we were doing. Was making someone so specifically tied to everything that happened in Vietnam in the book. And I'm like, oh, this is wow.
Just for those who don't know, in the comic book, in the comic book Watchmen, America won Vietnam.
Because of Dr. Manhattan intervening.
No problem.
Just blowing dudes up.
Just wreck their shit.
And now we know it became a state.
51st state.
Yeah. I want to say there's a panel in one of the chapters of the book where there's a poster that says, "Welcome Vietnam" or 51st state.
It's when the
comedian is shooting, and the night owl's like, "What happened to us? What happened to the American dream?
You're looking at it.
It came true. We're living it." And then he sees a guy and shoots with a tear gas thing.
Maybe like one of the most awesome, profound comic book images of the comedian shooting people saying the American dream came true.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, comic books.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alan Moore.
Yeah.
But yeah, Angela's talking about how she grew up in Vietnam and then moved to Tulsa. And then
she was a police officer.
And then the White Knight happened.
Oh yeah.
The White Knight is an event we don't know about
yet. Which is why she, on the surface, stopped working
on the surface
as a cop.
Yes.
And that's when the kid calls out, "Did Redford Nation?"
Did Redford
Nation?
Oh my god.
Yeah. And her son, who's in the room, I think he's white. He's like a white kid. And it's like,
I think all their kids are white. So I think they adopted those kids.
That's some pretty cool stuff, yeah.
Because at first I thought this kid, her son, the kid who he has really long hair, I thought he was going to be like the racist jerk because he is staring at her intently. And then we see the other white kid, who you know is going to be the asshole.
Little redheaded.
So her son Trevor comes up, whacks him across the face.
I think that is it's obviously a choice to have them have white kids. And I think it has a lot to do with there are a lot of people who are I'm a bad citizen of America because I'll never do this. But there are a lot of people who talk about how if you really want to change minds in places where white supremacy and these things are being talked about, you need to go there and you need to teach at their schools. Mm-hmm. You need to be part of their communities and make them learn that these things are different rather than just avoiding these areas entirely. Yeah. It sucks, but that's the only way that they're going to recognize that this one and perspective that I'm raised with isn't necessarily the right one. And I think that's a lot of what they're trying to get at is that it's if we have white kids that we're raising in Oklahoma who we teach better values, they're going to grow up to teach more people better values and blah blah blah. Yeah. And it's a good standpoint. I'm pretty sure that's at least a part of why this decision was made.
I wonder if they'll introduce she can't have kids or something to that nature. Right. But either way, this is still a cool progressive thing.
They did say she did say she was shot. She was shot right here, so who knows? That could have affected her.
There's also an idea of a lot of times. This is just the thing. A lot of times when people will want to adopt and they want to adopt to help kids, they'll adopt underprivileged minority kids. If they're white, commonly white people will adopt underprivileged minority kids because they are in a position of privilege and they know it and they can do something to help kids who are more downtrodden. This kind of implies an idea that maybe whites, on some level, are now the more downtrodden of the races. Yeah. And that black people are actually, because of Redford Nations, living on top.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's a cool aspect if that's something we're going to explore. But I definitely think all those kind of pieces are parts of the decision to have them have white kids.
Going back to the Tulsa 1921, the street that it was called Black Wall Street because it was a very profitable section of town run by black people. So again,
that's what it was called in real life.
Yeah, it was the nickname was Black Wall Street. Yeah. Okay. So again, thinking of the black people are now the ones on top, the white people, the downtrodden is again another theme that's going through the show. And I'm like, man, this is some bold choices.
This is some bold choices.
That's really cool.
And even as we say that, white people downtrodden in this universe is a big difference from black people downtrodden in our life. There's a different level of what that means, but nonetheless, that still may be the case that they have now become the well, maybe not like the lowest of the minorities, but certainly like it does imply this idea of black people elevation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Comic book writer Brian Michael Bendis is a big proponent of that. He's adopted a bunch of awesome
that's
guys.
true. Yeah, he's exactly like that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Miles Morales.
There's a reason why I'm pointing to his t-shirt.
Bendis is maybe like the most prolific like person for championing minority characters in comic books. Like he created a lot of really great ones.
Yeah.
So good on you, Bendis. I appreciate you. So we go from Angela talking about how she got to take the bullet from her insides and all this stuff.
And then the teacher goes,
and then the Redford Nations happen, and then we see a poster of the 4 great presidents. Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Richard Nixon, who was president for 5 terms, and then Robert Redford, who has been president for 30 years and is still the president. Yeah. That is some liberal, crazy, what is America now? I cannot wait to see, like, weird world.
Remind me of the amendment that was put in after FDR of
I forget the name of it.
I know it's an amendment. It's a higher tier amendment. I know that, but I can't. But there's also obviously in the real world we have an amendment where a president can only serve 2 terms. In their world, however the frack long they want.
Well, after you have things like Dr. Manhattan and crazy people.
Actually, that's not however long they want. It's how many times can you get elected.
Yeah, it's just like there's no limit anymore.
Like Hollis Mason, the former Night Owl, said he voted for Nixon like 4 times.
Can't believe I voted for that bastard.
Yeah.
So let's see, where do we go after Angela?
She's in the car driving Trevor
when they're driving home after the little like fight broke out. And he's like, he's a racist, and she says that he's not racist, but he's off to a good start.
And then we get the air sirens go, and I'm thinking, what's going on?
She's like, God damn it.
So she pulls over, sirens wail, and normally when you hear air raid sirens in a big city, that's like some really bad thing.
Like a tornado or earthquake.
Like a tornado or bombs.
Or even like what we saw at the very beginning of the episode.
Oh yeah, air raid sirens for the bombs,
And then he's like, oh, and then the sky goes instantly dark. I'm like, wait, is this like a flash flood? Frickin' squids rain from the sky.
This is the second that I knew I love this show.
Actual squids are
that disintegrate after being there.
Do you remember what the song was that they were playing in the car when this happened?
I forgot.
Oh no,
because I forget. It was very comedic.
There's only one.
There's a very comedic standpoint.
It was definitely not Raining Men. I know that.
There's only one song choice that I remember, and it's "Unforgettable," which is also used in the Watchmen movie.
Sure, yeah.
That's the only one that I remember. I didn't really catch the song in the car.
That's okay.
But yeah, man, it starts raining squids. And that just raises so many questions of what happened after that initial squid attack in 1984.
It took me a very uncomfortable amount of time to read, because I see squids falling from the sky, and my brain, because I forget the end of the book. Unfortunately,
people think about the movie a lot more.
Unfortunately, the movie is still more fresher in my mind.
Yeah.
But I'm watching this, I'm like, why are squids Why is it raining squid? Why is it doing that?
Happy anniversary.
Jumping back to the classroom, there was Anatomy of a Squid. It was a big poster
that
they had to know information about in the classroom.
That was weird. But then it hits me as like the frick Ozymandias launching his squid attack from interdimension, from the other dimension.
So here's the thing:
keep peace in the world.
Ozymandias, he manufactured this alien creature. He hired artists and musicians and psychics and physicists to create this fake alien attack, and they teleported it into New York. There was never a real attack.
Was it also other cities, or was it just New York?
No, it was just New York.
Okay.
It was supposed to be a way to bring the world together.
Because the United States and USSR in the comic book was on the brink of nuclear war.
And Ozymandias thought, hey, the only way to save the world is by destroying a little bit of it. And then Rorschach's journal gets published, revealing that it's all fake. And that's Yes. That's why the 7th Cavalry is doing what they're doing, because they have Rorschach's journal and they know about it. The thing got published.
Because the journal's sitting at the very end. It's the last panel is the journal sitting.
Yeah, that thing actually
right
got
there
published.
Ready for publishing.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So the squid thing's happening, meaning that they're taking it directly from the comic, which makes sense. It's a sequel to the comic. But it raises questions so after the initial attack, are there now aftershock attacks that no one can control? Of like Ozymandias started this rippling effect of actually creating like these attacks. But they're not actual attacks; they're just rain.
It's just
and there's nothing they can do about it.
It's just random squid.
Yeah,
it's just random squid falling from the sky.
It's basically his 1984 version, just in microscopic form. It's just raining regular, like baby squids.
It's like keeping the powers at bay in check.
Yeah,
that's why I feel like it is.
And it's I don't know. It's like something they can't control, and Ozymandias is just off the map. Like he's just not. He's actually declared dead.
There is a question of who's doing it.
I think it might not be anyone. I think it's like a psychic after effect of the first time.
I want to say because jumping ahead a little bit, during a Looking Glass's interrogation with a supposed member of the 7th Cavalry, one of the questions he asked is like, "Do you believe these interdimensional attacks are a hoax by the U.S. government?"
Yeah.
So the Earth still thinks that this is from another dimension.
Yeah.
That's what was explained by Ozymandias. That was explained by everyone. That's how the United States USSR ceased the war.
But the truth is out there.
Right. Most people believe that Rorschach's journal is conspiracy theory propaganda.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I'm saying that's like
because I don't read it. Well, that's my thing about Rorschach's journal is that yes, it landed at the end of the book. It landed on the newspaper. We don't know what they did with it. Obviously, some people got a hold of it.
I think they don't.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I think it was printed, and I think a lot of people like.
Again, this is 30 years later.
Imagine if everybody all the news organizations, all the world leaders told you this was a dimensional alien attack, but one source published a book saying, nope, it's this, and everybody else denied it, especially people with wealth and power to shut it down.
Okay, I see what's going on.
Not to get too real, but this is real subject, like 9/11.
Yeah.
People think 9/11 is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's not out of the ordinary to think, hey, somebody has proof that this thing is fake. Not that I'm saying 9/11 is fake, but that's the trajectory I'm going on. People think that this thing might actually not be real, and that's enough leeway for people to believe it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the 7th Cavalry, in conjunction with their belief system about what's happening to them because of Redfordations and all this other stuff, really grab that. And again, as Ryan said, take it and adjust it to match the means of what they want.
This new world isn't our world, and it's awful, so we need to take it back from black people.
Okay.
That's the subtext there.
Well, not only, and actually, they redo Rorschach's speech that was famous.
Oh, it's so spooky. We talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
So, but on the squid thing,
squids.
What do you guys think? Where
I think it's like a psychic after it just happens now after that initial attack. It's something that just rippled into the atmosphere and now they can't stop it. I think it's just rain that happens sometimes.
I don't think so.
No?
I think that there it's either there's a very good reason why he says there's a very good reason why he says, do you believe this is now a hoax by the US government?
Yeah.
Once it happens, once Rorschach's journal is published, of course Ozymandias would go to some of the people and be like,
but is it even Ozzy?
Did this.
I'm
not saying he's doing it. I'm saying he told them after the initial thing, he's like, yes, that's true, but guess what? I brought you all together, so you better keep up that lie.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a question of, is this only happening in the United States?
Yeah.
That's a big question that we'd have to get into.
I think we need to see more.
I at this moment don't believe it is
natural.
Okay. In whatever sense you would want to call that. It's some kind of after effect. I don't see where the connective tissue would make that the case. I think it's going to, in a show that has showed a whole lot of political positions up to this point, this is just going to be another piece of that.
Yeah. Okay.
The only part I would disagree with that is that Ozymandias came forward. That's the only part I would disagree with it, because his whole thing
I'm not saying...
was...
No. Understand. I'm not saying he came forward to the world.
No, I'm saying he would not come forward even to a select few group of people. Because even if they found out, my instincts tell me that they would be like, well, F you then.
I think he just disappeared from the world.
Exactly.
He's been gone.
That's what I think he's doing. And these, squid attacks, this is just me spitballing here, these squid attacks are him just...
Squidballing?
Are... Trademark, hashtag squidballing. Are him just keeping the world in check. Just be like, hey, remember that big squid that destroyed the planet? I think that's him effing with everyone else. I wouldn't even be surprised. And he removed himself from the table.
I wouldn't even be surprised if it's our government doing that. If it is manufactured, I bet Ozzy is completely off the table, just living in retirement. I wouldn't be surprised if that's their way of trying to keep the world in check, actually.
Yeah. I wouldn't either.
But once again, this is only the first episode. We still don't know the whole story
yet. And let's be clear, even if Ozzy isn't the person who came forward to say, this is what happened, he hired psychics, musicians,
scientists,
art designers,
and killed them all.
Yeah, and killed them all. But the point being that there are people who put this together for him. It is entirely possible that there are people who could figure it out in the 30 years that this wasn't real, but utilize it as a tool.
Which is what the comedian did, and that's why he died, and then we got all Watchmen.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But the squids are weird. The squids are weird.
Yeah, I look forward to figuring that out.
It's a cool aspect.
Everybody has specific windshield wipers for squids.
Sparks, you're absolutely right. We can dissect almost every minute part.
That's why the show's so good so far.
Of this entire show. This is only the first episode.
Yeah. So then, let's see. Where do we go from there? She go to the bakery?
She goes home.
She goes home
She
first?
drops off Trevor.
Okay.
We see her husband and their daughter.
Oh, she gets a little bighorn.
Yeah, the little big,
which is General Custer getting slaughtered by a united Indian front against the American...
in Little Bighorn, Montana, I believe.
Yeah, so that's, again, another funny...
Custer's Last Stand, if you... No, not if you will. That was Custer's Last Stand.
A funny wordplay of using Little Bighorn as the thing to get them going. But she's mad that they didn't get called in earlier, so she goes on her own mission first.
Well, she goes to her bakery, and then which is like a really cool milk cake, or mooncake? Mooncake bakery.
Like Vietnamese pastry.
Because she's Vietnamese.
Yep.
And she's trying to get inside, and we hear this old man is like, when is it all going to open? And you see this old man in a wheelchair, and you're like, who are you, old man?
Yeah.
You know he's important.
Yeah, you know he's important.
It was such an Alan Moore setup.
Of course
too.
it is.
Like,
of course.
That guy's sitting there. He'll come back.
Like Rorschach holding the sign saying the end is nigh. All that
There's a sign that says the end is bright. The guy's flipping a sign saying the end is bright when she's walking that you missed.
Oh, no, I do remember that.
He's like a dancing guy. But this old man asked her a very, very interesting question.
Think I can lift 200 pounds?
Do you think I can lift 200 pounds? And she's like, sure, buddy.
Did
you just get it, then? I thought... I love it. So
we'll get there.
She goes into this is for later. Things are happening in real time. So she goes into the bakery. There's 3 levels of security to get her to her Batcave, where she becomes...
Which is rad.
Where she becomes the Night Sister.
Which is also rad.
She's a badass killer nun, basically.
Vigilante cop. We see her put on her badge, on her belt, which is super cool.
And then she goes and she
grabs some white dude from a
kidnaps
trailer.
a white dude from Nixonville.
Nope. First, she goes to the police station, and she hears the...
No, because
she catches him first, and then she's talking to them, and she's saying, I got him because I knew I already have a dude, because I knew you'd want us to round them up.
So, So yeah, Judd goes to his office, and she's chilling in there.
Then she does arrive at the police station after she grabs him, and she sees the video.
Which we see Trailer Park, and we see some spray paint of F. Redford. Because Robert Redford's president. We see that. She gets the guy, beats him, throws him in her trunk, and then we get to the police station
and
where
we meet all the new heroes and cops and stuff.
Not only that, but we also see the 7th Cavalry do their Rorschach speech.
Oh, it's so
where
stupid.
they specifically say the line, all the politicians, and this is important.
No, they changed the line.
Exactly.
Yes.
But this is the part where they change, and that's where my ears perked up.
Yeah.
Race traitors.
Yeah.
They say race traitors, and they start talking about...
Obviously.
Yeah. And then they start doing the tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock.
Well, again, they're using a lot of his, like, one of my favorite things in comics is never compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon. They repurpose that, but it's never compromise, because we're the best, white people rule. And I'm like, Rorschach would be so pissed right now, guys.
Oh, he would.
He's a kind of a jerk himself, but like, oh no.
Yeah. But see, they do the, and we will whisper no.
Yeah.
It's the part where, they will look up and shout, save us, and we will whisper no, which is the famous line from the book and the film. And obviously they change it around to fit their own interest, which is F you.
Yeah.
And obviously all the cops in there are masked except for the chief of police.
Yeah, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a theory about why?
I was thinking about that for a while.
I can't think of anything maybe except he's a guy who oozes confidence and he's not worried about it.
I want to say because he's the leader should have a face.
Yeah, and he was, it's my funeral.
I think it's in some ways a Superman effect.
Yeah.
Like, Superman can't wear a mask. They have to be able to trust somebody if everybody's going to be wearing masks. And I think on some level, there's an amount of respect for that. And obviously, there's a lot of intense security for him.
He has cops all over his house. Later on, as we get in, we see...
He is the face of the police.
He's surrounded by cops.
He is, the one face. Yeah. If someone's got to get a gun pointed at him, it's going to be me.
You think about it, they're not supposed to know who anybody is in the police force except him.
Yeah.
Nobody else should be known based on how they've set things up. So it makes sense that you have to have somebody who is accountable, who is recognizable, who is the public face for each department.
It's very interesting.
And so that's Judd. I think that if you take that position, you know what the risks are, but there's also an amount of even as far as white supremacy is a bad thing, the 7th Cavalry and what they do later, obviously, but in general, there's kind of an acceptance of in this societal system that you've now built, you have to have that kind of some sense of civility, unless you're going for utter chaos. And so you have to kind of have some respect for the person who's in the position that is kind of a go-between now between the public and the police.
You can't have a masked guy be the lead guy.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
That's the thing. That was my whole thing.
That makes sense.
That he's the leader. He's the leader of these people. So obviously he has to have his face shown. So he's like, "Hey, you can talk to me." And then we get into this whole thing about Article 4.
Oh, it's awesome.
Which apparently makes it so cops can't carry their weapons freely unless they all feel like their life is in danger. Panda, who is... I like Panda.
Panda's a cool guy.
We've only seen him for a few minutes, but I like him.
Again, going back to what I said earlier, they say, yes, my life is in immediate danger, and Panda's like, you're kind of misusing the rule.
Like, he looks
like
he
this
points
is
to the chief
this
and
is
says,
not,
you're making a mistake.
Yeah, and this is very much in tone of, like, that opening scene of, like... Is it in immediate danger? Are we misusing the principles we've now established?
And when Panda says, like, this is a bad idea, and the chief says, it's my funeral. Oh, you said it, Chief. But yeah, Panda's a cool guy. He seems to be the most, like...
He is...
Don't use guns. Guns are bad. This?
It seems like Panda is very for the law. Like, he read Article 4, and he's like, guys, our situation right now is not even close to what Article 4 is.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, a cop got shot. It's like, yeah, it sucks. But...
This is a slippery slope.
He's very by the book. He's very for the rules. He's like... If, like, shit does hit the fan, yeah, of course, guns blazing, let's rock and roll.
But we need more evidence.
We need more evidence. We need more convictions. We need more X, Y, and Z.
And then Judd asks Looking Glass, like, "Hey, do you feel like your life's threatened?" Yeah.
That's what he asked first, and that's when they agreed, and that's why Panda was like...
Three other masked vigilante cops all said yes.
You got a Russian guy named Red Scare. His name's Red Scare, actually.
Yes, I saw that too. His name is Red Scare.
Yeah, he's a Red
Scare.
And he's just like a Russian guy who ended up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who's just all about kicking ass. And I'm like, I want to know your story, my man.
I thought he had a Russian accent.
Yeah. He's like Hooded Justice.
Well, shit.
Yeah. And there's
there's that show that's going to be airing, American Hero Story. Not American Crime Story, American Hero Story.
There's a pirate lady. I think her name's Pirate Jenny.
The one.
She doesn't get a name credit, but I think her name's Pirate Jenny or something. And I'm like, that's a funny name.
I do like her mask though.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But yeah, so they have their thing, and what does the chief say at the end of the meeting?
It's my funeral.
No. He says the line.
He says who watches the Watchmen, and then the cops respond, we do. And I'm like, oh gosh.
Ooh, that's
and again, like, it's all just even with what Panda's saying, like, you're misusing the rules, and it's like, yes,
maybe.
I mean, I kind of agree, but I also am like, you're correct. Like, they are not in immediate danger.
Yeah.
However, once they go up against the 7th Cavalry, they unload a whole.
Oh god, they had
like a turret.
They had
turret
an M80 for crying out loud.
Yeah. And so, like, it is the opening of, like, a war. But yeah.
Real quick, so after that meeting, Angela, the Night Sister, is in Judd's office, and Judd's like, I know what you're thinking. I shouldn't do this Article 4 thing, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, I got a dude in my trunk.
Yeah.
and he's like, oh? It's like, I knew you were going to ask me to round up all the guys who we normally do, so I did it before.
And then she says, oh yeah, I have a thing for smelling white supremacy. And this guy smells like bleach.
Yeah. And then we get probably my favorite scene in the show is where Looking Glass interrogates this guy.
In a place called the Pod.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's the same type of, like, pod technology that's in Archie, which is Night Owl's ship. Yeah. It's the same door mechanism. But Looking Glass, who I described as like an inverse Rorschach, is like the best interrogator, and he places this dude in the pod in this circular room with all these images, all this like Nixon on the Mount Rushmore, Colonel Custard, flags, like white people, black people,
a lot of Civil War imagery.
Civil War imagery, a Rorschach test.
He basically like creates a Rorschach test through questioning,
and he's constantly asking him questions like, do you think all Americans should pay taxes? Do you believe this? Are you or have you ever been a member or affiliated with the white supremacist group known as the 7th Cavalry?
And there's like pulsating music, and like it's really tense, and like this, and Looking Glass is able to like look at every micro change in his eyes and dilation, and he's like the ultimate detective.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy is so radical.
He's essentially the best lie detector test
for real. And like, and after the thing's done, like, hey, did you get anything looking like? So like, oh, he's totally guilty. Like he was his eyes were dilated like crazy. All the words.
His eyes dilated on each Rorschach image.
Yeah. So like, cool. So like, this is a bad guy. So
it's such an incredible way to do an interrogation.
It is. And again, it's really impactful. Like, you really feel like I got tense watching that. I'm like, I'm not even guilty, and I don't like this at all.
I'm like, yeah, I would have hated it. And then they get pulled out of, standing there, sorry. The Night Sister throws him into
sorry the way I treated you, bud. And he's like, yeah, it's all right. And then she kicks the shit out of him.
Beats, and you can see the blood coming out from under the... Does she kill him? Or?
No,
okay.
She can't kill him. No.
There's blood, and there's also what appears to be pee. Or
there's definitely
he was
liquid
water
and blood.
Tortured. Yeah, like there's more than just blood on that.
Yeah. Again, which is a reference.
I thought it was water.
There's a Greg Rorschach thing in a bathroom where water and blood mix. Like there's a lot of good callbacks.
Yeah,
all over the place.
Also, the first image of the book of when the comedian's blood was being washed off the street.
You got it, baby. So then, let's see. Do we go to?
Then they go to the
cattle ranch.
Yeah.
So they learn that they're at a cattle ranch. And we see the 7th Cavalry taking apart watches.
They're taking the batteries out.
And they have a lot of drugs.
And they have a lot of drugs, so they're doing drugs. But these watches were outlawed.
Trafficking drugs. It's more than just doing it. The amount they have, that means that they're like...
So they're criminals.
Transporting and selling and trafficking. Like, they had piles. Yeah. Like, that's more than
I was more focused on the watch stuff.
No, for sure.
I didn't even notice,
Yeah.
I didn't notice that
they gotta make money.
I just saw the watches. I thought I was wondering, like, why are they taking about the watches?
So this is where the technology aspect of the show comes in. That there's a line that's referenced earlier that's like very small, but all watches that deal with these type of batteries were outlawed because there was a big cancer scare after Dr. Manhattan.
Speaking of Dr. Manhattan, we know he's on Mars.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there's that one brief moment where we see video footage watching
him.
Now,
I can't confirm or deny this, but since we're talking about Dr. Manhattan thing, he seems to be building a type of castle. I don't know if it's true, but people are saying it looks like the castle that Ozymandias did.
I was going to say it does.
Okay.
It does.
Okay, if that's true, oh boy. Okay.
Oh, man.
But these watches, they're taking the batteries out, and there's a mention of, like, they might be trying to make a cancer bomb as a joke.
Real quick, since we brought up Dr. Manhattan, I was going to say, back on the squid thing, there is a part of me that would believe that he's just casually letting it mess with people.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But he's so...
Because he doesn't even need to think about it to let that be a thing.
No. Yeah. But the thing at the end of the book is, like, first of all, he's supposed to leave the universe to create a universe of his own. So the fact that he's back at Mars is interesting. That he's in the area of human beings again.
Yeah.
But his whole thing was like, I don't want to mess with people anymore. I mess things up here.
Yeah.
So like, it's hard for me to. This isn't Doomsday Clock. I don't think I don't think he's directly involved
for
yet.
Sure.
Yet.
I'm not saying absolutely it's him.
Yeah.
I am saying it's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
That he could have like left that as a piece of remnant for what happened, or whatever.
From the trailer.
Because obviously, like, the easiest explanation of, like, why would that weird thing happen is, like, well, Dr. Manhattan made it happen. Yeah. Like, that's the easiest explanation of, like, why is this weird
but for
stuff?
a character choice, I don't buy it yet. Unless they're going to do some character stuff with Dr. Manhattan this season, and we do know from the trailer, we do see him in a suit walking down a street from a later episode.
Well, also, we see him in a courtroom, too, and this is at the very end where it's, like, in the weeks to come. We see him when I think it's a court...
Oh, I didn't watch it either.
Oh, I watched it.
Oh, cool.
Oh, you bet I was watching that shit.
Okay, no, I don't want to know. I was.
Yeah, I didn't...
The second the credits started rolling, I'm like, more.
No, okay, so we're definitely getting Dr. Manhattan.
But this is later on down the line, so we don't know when it's going to happen.
But yeah, so these people are taking these batteries out of these watches because there was a big cancer scare, so that's why things like cell phones don't exist anymore. If you guys notice, there's not a cell phone in this.
Yeah, there's pagers.
Yeah, there's a huge technological scare, so anything involving like radio frequencies or anything like that, they don't use.
And the lithium-ion batteries.
Yes, exactly. That's a small thing that I had to look up because people were talking about it. I'm like, okay, so they are gathering these batteries to do something with. Clearly it's not something good, but we don't know what it is yet.
Right.
They could be building a type of bomb or something, but like they don't seem like super smart engineers, so I don't think they're trying to do something Dr. Manhattan related. Again, it's too early to tell.
But Judd makes a cheeky joke about it later.
Yeah, they could be making a cancer bomb. Like, oh yeah, Dr. Manhattan.
Oh yeah,
gave people cancer, but allegedly.
And then his wife's like, "What's taking so long?" I was like, "Oh, just the end of the world. Tick tock, tick tock."
Oh yeah. So
it's like the end of the dinner party though.
So
Raid the cattle ranch.
So they raid the cattle ranch,
which was a very intense scene.
Lots of ground beef.
Oh man,
lots of cows getting their shit destroyed.
We didn't really say it, but I mean, like, you know, if you watch the episode, you know they're trying to find the guy who shot the cop.
Yes,
that's the whole thing. They're trying to get that guy in particular,
and they do. But they don't know it was him, but he takes a cyanide pill.
Yeah, which again is something that happens in the original comic.
Yeah.
But reversed.
And is a common tactic used by Nazis in World War II.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a great action scene of, you know, lots of gunplay. Night Sister kicking ass.
A plane,
a biplane.
No, just a regular.
It's a
regular plane
Gotcha.
takes off, and then we see a police Archimedes.
Oh yeah, so
a police version of Archie,
which raises
flown by Judd and Pirate Jenny.
I think her name's Pirate Jenny. I could be wrong. I'll let you know next
I
episode.
really like her.
Yeah,
for now, her name is Pirate Jenny. Unless we get.
But yeah, we see Archie, and then I didn't catch it the first time, but it's just coded in police. Like, it's a police vehicle.
It is, yeah.
So, which means either Dan Dryberg, the second Night Owl, licensed out his designs to become a billionaire. He just gave his designs away. He died, and they inherited it. We don't know the situation, but if Tulsa, Oklahoma has an Archie, what does that mean for the rest of the world?
Well, Lori, she becomes the FBI agent.
Yes, but we don't know anything
we
about
don't know
that
what
yet.
we don't know
in the
what,
trailers.
We don't know what happened to
But
Dan.
she wouldn't have the rights to his technology, though.
Who knows? Maybe Dan cut
Maybe they got married.
well, she goes by Lori Blake, her father's name.
So okay, then definitely she didn't marry Dan then. Okay.
Or maybe they're still together, but they're not.
It just raises a lot of interesting questions.
we don't know.
Again, this takes place in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is a small city in big America, and there's an Archie there. So I think they might be mass produced now for the police, which is nuts.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's something that he did after the White Knight event.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like I want to help policemen everywhere.
Yeah,
that could,
and also get rich.
If it's something where it has a name like that,
Yeah.
is a very specific thing that people recognize as connotation of an event.
Yeah,
it would make sense that he would look at that and go, "I can't really do anything about this anymore, but my tech can."
Yeah.
Yeah, the White Knight sounds...
It's very much a Batman White Knight comic argument of like, you could have provided all this to the police all along, and it would have changed everything. It does seem like Dan... I highly doubt that this is something that wasn't volunteered up to the police as like, I think this will help.
Because unless something bad happened to the character, Dan would still be alive, and he would be like the same age as like Lori Blake or Ozzy and stuff. So he wouldn't be that. He would be not that old.
You know what? When she said, like when Angie first mentioned White Knight, I got a lot. For some reason, the second she talked about it, I got a lot of Night of Broken Glass vibes.
Batman?
No,
Night of Broken Glass.
The night. It was one of the first recorded major Nazi attacks on Jewish-owned stores.
Oh damn! Teach me about this stuff. I don't know about this.
Yeah. Oh really?
No.
Yeah, the Night of Broken Glass happened when Hitler came. Not when Hitler came to power, but it was sometime afterwards. And obviously a bunch of anti-Semitic, pro-Nazi people. This is before the Jews started getting rounded. I believe this is before the Jews started getting rounded up. They went to a bunch of Jewish-owned stores. They went to a bunch of synagogues. They were essentially destroying their storefronts. They got a lot of Jewish books. They started burning them. And
where was this?
This was in I want to say Poland, or no, not Poland. I want to say it was in Germany.
Okay.
I just remember the name, the Night of Broken.
I've never heard that name before.
It seems like reminiscent of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, this was. They, as far as I know, they weren't killing them, but they probably were.
Yeah.
There was this happened in the late 30s, early 40s.
Okay.
So, but it was a night. It was one of the first recorded nights of mass attack against the Jewish people.
Damn, dude.
Okay.
Let me hold up. You guys keep talking. Let me find out. I will look this up real quick.
Yeah, they
battle at the cattle ranch.
They beat them in the raid,
and then
even though Judd is like super reckless with his Archie.
So the guys are getting off in a plane, and then Archie takes off and uses the flamethrower, but a little too close to the plane.
And there is something to be said, like playing devil's advocate. There is something to be said for like picture reverse situations. Like we know the 7th Cavalry are shitty.
Yes.
Like they're white supremacists. They're shitty. Yay, they got them.
Yeah.
Picture it in a different scenario where like, you know, don't even think about like the facts absolutely. Oh. A black man is accused of shooting an officer. Mm-hmm. They go after a group of them. Mm-hmm. They are trying to get away. They are burned down.
Yeah,
like that is just questionable.
Yeah.
On the morality scale, and then the fact that Judd is kind of like jovial and laughing, and they're
all
like,
laughing.
Ha ha! Yeah, I got him, and it's like, ooh, this isn't the best response, even though I know they're shitty people. Like, ooh,
again, the gray morality.
You still murdered them.
Yeah.
Like, yikes.
Are you guys ready for a history lesson?
Sure, yeah.
So this is according to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum.org. And on the night of November 9th, 1938, violence against Jews broke out across all of the Reich, so all of German-controlled states. It appeared to be unplanned, set off by Germans' anger over the assassination of a German official in Paris at the hands of a Jewish teenager. In fact, German propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels and other Nazis carefully organized the pogroms. In 2 days, over 250 synagogues were burned, 7,000 Jewish businesses were trashed and looted, dozens of Jewish people were killed, and Jewish cemeteries, hospitals, schools, and homes were looted while police and fire brigades stood by. The pogroms became known as the Kristallnacht, which is, in English, the Night of Broken Glass. For the shattered glass from the store windows that littered the streets. Morning after the pogroms, 30,000 German Jewish men were arrested for the crime of being Jewish and sent to concentration camps. So this did happen when the camps were in effect.
Damn, dude.
Yeah,
we're learning today here
it's
on
been
FakeNerd's
It's been a while, but when she said after the White Night, obviously things happened. Luckily, maybe in their case for the better, but honestly, after the Night of Broken Glass in Nazi Germany and Nazi Germany-controlled states, things went from bad to worse.
Yeah, that was like the tipping point.
Yeah.
Frickin'
Gobbles, dick.
He's a bad boy.
He is.
So we have all of our heroes laughing over the death of all these people they just killed.
Yeah.
and then
they have a happy dinner.
They do have a happy dinner filled with wine and cocaine.
Yeah. And also, did you guys
Judd singing?
And also, did you notice that they were eating what looked like Vietnamese food? Because the kids had chopsticks.
Yeah. I believe it. Yeah.
That was pretty. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense. She's opening a Vietnamese bakery.
Yeah. It opened.
They're talking about Oklahoma.
Judd's jealous.
Yeah, and then he goes to open a bottle of wine and takes a hit of cocaine.
Nose candy.
Yep.
All the adults notice, of course.
Oh, of course they do.
He's not subtle about it.
Yeah. I don't know that Angela's husband noticed.
No.
Well, I mean, not all the adults.
He didn't seem to clock it.
Not all the adults.
We didn't even know the wife had seen it until she brought it up later when talking with him.
Right.
In a really sweet moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not like in a confronting way, like...
No, like, I saw a little bit of your confidence on your nose, and he's like...
It's been a rough week,
It's been a really bad week. And she's like, I know.
Fair.
And just being comforting and supporting, and it's like...
Dang. I was flying a multi-million-dollar superhero ship earlier.
I mean, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yes.
But they start singing Oklahoma.
Yeah, there's a great scene where like Don Johnson really sings his heart out, and he's singing Oklahoma to his sweet family and friends. I'm like, this is a great scene. Nothing bad's gonna happen after this.
It is interesting just isolating that moment. It is interesting. You don't see a lot of non-demonization in the use of cocaine in a film or a television show.
Don't.
It's usually always in the context of like, and this is where things went bad with this guy. And this one is just kind of like. Everybody's got their thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it was very relaxed in a way I didn't expect.
Yeah, I mean, don't do cocaine. Cocaine's bad.
Yeah,
but still, in a way, it's like, okay. I mean, especially seeing his wife not harass him for it.
Yeah, it's not like a '90s like, is that cocaine?
Yeah, it's like, honey, come on.
Yeah,
really.
Hey man, one of my cops got shot and I almost died today. Like, give me a break, baby.
Yeah.
And then he gets a call that the cop woke up in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
Is that the scene?
Yeah. He gets a call that the cop woke up.
This is after the dinner party, and then he talked to Angela outside. We covered all that.
Yes.
TikTok. Just the other world. TikTok.
Yeah.
Again, that's still really spooky.
Yeah, very spooky.
But she's concerned about like what they're transporting, as we all have questions.
Yeah. Just lettuce.
Yeah,
it's definitely just lettuce.
And then the Judd's wife is saying, "Hey, maybe get one of the boys to drive you." He's like, "Oh no, I'm fine." So we cut to him dressing in his uniform.
But before we get to him going to see the cop, I'm pretty sure we've jumped to Ozymandias at this point.
Yes,
because we end with Judd's stuff.
That's right.
We must go to Ozymandias.
We've been
here.
jumping around.
I'm pretty sure by the time we got past the cow ranch, we took a break and went to Ozymandias because things had
he has like a
settled
5-minute
at that
scene.
point.
Yeah. Him
Again,
riding on his horse.
Another great transition from like the dark, rainy street to like the beautiful countryside of like Ireland, maybe.
Yeah, the moment that the music starts, I was like, "Oh, I know where this is going. This is him. This is him."
And it's just Jeremy Irons just gallivanting on a horse, looking great.
Guys, I cannot tell you how much I love Jeremy Irons.
He's so good.
He is so
He's
great.
only in this episode for like a little bit, but like he has such like a character.
Like
to
he's
him.
sitting there, he's like writing, he's writing, and then this lady is like massaging his thigh. He's like stark naked, and she's like, "Well, how about it?" And he's just typing on the typewriter.
His thighs are raw, and he's like, "Oh, it's because of the horseback riding, my dear. Have at it." And she's like, "Okie dokie," and
like,
he's just typing
already like something's
on a
off
typewriter.
on an old school typewriter.
Already, I'm like, okay, something's a little off with her. And then Mr. Phillips shows up. He's like, a little formal, don't you think? He's like, it's your anniversary. So I'm like, anniversary of what? It's his birthday.
Is it his birthday, or is it the anniversary of the squid attack?
You read that?
Well, who says his birthday is an anniversary?
You're right.
Yo, happy anniversary! You saved the world.
You're right.
Yeah. I was trying to see if the cake looked like anything. Like some people said, it looked like a squid. I'm like, it doesn't look like.
It looks just
like a cake.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about Mr. Phillips,
they made it out of the honeycomb that he gave him.
Yes.
And then Mr. Phillips like, would you care to do honors? He's like, that is a horseshoe. He hands him a horseshoe.
Yes.
Did they? Nobody mentioned it being the anniversary, right?
They just say anniversary.
No. I'm talking about like
Before
externally, not with Ozymandias. Nobody talks about it being the anniversary of that event, correct?
No.
Okay. What do they talk about on the radio when Judd's in the truck? Do you remember?
Yes, I do. I do because I had to look it up.
I don't.
So the Keene Act was the thing that outlawed masks in the 80s, right? His son, the son of that senator, Joseph Keene Jr., is running against Robert Redford as president.
Okay.
There's nothing about anything else.
Got it. I remember it was relevant, and I just don't remember exactly what it was. Thank you.
The character from that book is also now in this book.
Yes. So, anyway, back on the Ozymandias anniversary thing. I totally also believe it is the anniversary of that event.
Yeah.
However, I am weirded out by the fact that the rest of the world isn't acknowledging it.
Yes.
Because we acknowledge 9/11 every time that comes around.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way it wouldn't be mentioned somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a little odd that we don't even hear it in passing, because that's where exactly that kind of moment I would have expected to hear about it.
And
I thought it was his birthday because they're singing for He's a Jolly Good Fellow. Because some places around the world, instead of saying Happy Birthday to you, they sing for he or she is a jolly good fellow.
Or he's a jolly good fellow for saving the world.
Or that.
I speculated, and it's too early to know, but that maybe the 7th Cavalry is like celebrating this anniversary by starting this shit over again. But like again, they haven't said anywhere else that they haven't mentioned it.
Well, Judd said for 3 years we thought they were gone. They were just hibernating, which I believe 3 years prior was the night of White Night.
Yeah.
Sure.
Could.
Potentially.
So I think it's too early to tell,
specifically say, like, in their video thing that, like, in 2 days or something, it's a countdown to something.
Okay, yeah.
Perhaps the anniversary hasn't hit yet.
Also,
because he's in a different part of the world.
Also, maybe the Ozymandias stuff is happening at a completely separate time altogether.
Sure.
Like, they never say his name, which is, again, giving us at least giving me pause.
And they obviously say the word anniversary to keep you in the dark about what it is. It's like, is it his birthday?
As someone who just read House of X and Powers of 10, timelines are always on my mind. So considering this is Watchmen and Dr. Manhattan's deals with the past, present, and future, I wouldn't be surprised if some of this stuff might be, specifically the Aussie stuff, happening out of time with the rest of the show. That could just be Miles' crazy speculation, but they don't say his name, and everything about this whole scene is vague.
They just call him Master.
Yeah. He's called the Lord of the Manor. Yeah, that's his character name.
You can tell that, honestly, his 2 attendants are not quite right, so we don't know exactly what they are.
Yeah, a horseshoe instead of a fork.
Yeah, or a knife.
A knife, yeah. Again, and you said they might be robots or something?
I thought they were, but once again, you mentioned Babastis.
Yes, so he had a genetically engineered, like, Egyptian, like, extinct cat from, like, a millennia ago. So they could be, like, biological, they could be robots, it is the future.
Yeah.
But they are clearly not regular people.
Right.
Because they don't know what things are.
Gives him a horseshoe.
Can't make a cake to save their life.
Apparently not, because
the way they talk to him
Yeah.
Just the way they talk to him, you can feel like
It's off.
This is not people.
Yeah.
And also, he's like, it's a bee's knees. You could tell he was disgusted by that.
Oh, the bee's knees! Like, Jerry Irons, he's so good in the show.
And we only give for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I bet it's probably going to be a lot like that.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Oh, yeah.
So let's cut to...
I'm writing a play.
Oh, yes! He's right, the son...
the Watchmaker's son.
Do
you guys know who the Watchmaker's son is?
The Watchmaker's son is Dr. Manhattan.
It is, because John Osterman's father was a watchmaker.
He was.
So...
I got that. I'm proud of myself that I got that.
I'm not sure if the watch that Mr. Phillips gives him is Dr. Manhattan's old watch, or because I'm trying to remember from the comic. I don't think Ozzy has specific watch stuff.
I think what it is that he said I think he said I did it off your designs,
yes,
like your drawings that you have.
Like I hope it's not perfect, but
he's recreating it. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if if Ozzy is trying to tap into Dr. Manhattan in some way, or trying to get his attention or something, because he's writing a play about him, which is real cute.
Yeah.
So let's cut to Judd. Judd is going to go visit the nice police officer who just woke up.
Because he woke up and he said, I should be there in my uniform.
Yes, and his wife's like, all right, we'll have one of the guys drive you.
Because he was just drinking and
so he's high and drunk, possibly.
Very under the influence.
Drives himself anyway. Yikes.
I mean, you can also...
So it's all still nighttime.
Yeah.
So, sorry, just going back, like, Ozymandias in a different part of the world, he could be at the beginning of the anniversary.
Yeah.
And they could be...
He could be waking up,
the night before the anniversary is about to happen.
Oh, that's a good point.
Which is why it might not have gotten mentioned up to this point.
That's a good point, yeah.
Anyway, yes, so he's had a bit to drink and
a bit tough.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have driven.
Yeah, no, and then his tires go out.
And he left all his dudes behind.
That's the thing. He left all of his detail, because there are 3 cops outside of his house.
And then an additional one.
There are 2, no, not just 1, 2 cops on the entrance to the driveway.
Yeah.
Because this is in Oklahoma. Oklahoma, if you've never been, there's a vast amount of farmland. So obviously ranches...
Would you say the wind goes sweeping down the plains?
I've never been to Oklahoma. I've never heard the soundtrack, but I know you're making Oklahoma reference.
It's in the episode.
Yeah. I know it's in the episode.
Seen that line.
I know they do, but yes, the winds do sweep down the plains of Oklahoma. It's a very beautiful state. Do you ever visit? Definitely.
And man, the line, like, when he's talking to his wife, like, about... Like what do you say? Like, oh, I ooze confidence or something. Like, I radiate confidence. It's like, yeah, I saw it come radiating out of your nose.
Yeah,
and I'm like, he's so confident that like he can survive anything. He's just gonna drive high and drunk,
and he doesn't
to
have
be the hero here. And I'm like, oh, Judd.
And we don't.
You can tell as they're doing the scene of him putting on the uniform and everything. It's like, oh, Judd, you're dead.
Yeah.
Oh, you're dead, Judd.
Like, he drives across. His tires go flat. There's a bright light and.
And like an epileptic flashing.
We cut to Angie and... Is it Angie or Angela?
Angela.
Yeah, we cut to
You got
Angela,
a nickname for her?
Yeah, we cut to Angela and her husband having some fun, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
wink,
they're
wink,
banging. Who's banging?
Who's banging?
And she's about to have a great old time when the phone won't stop ringing. He's like, that's gonna wake the kids up.
Her pager doesn't stop.
Her pager doesn't stop, that's right.
No, you're right. No, I was wrong. Her phone does.
It's a landline.
It's a landline. So they're doing fun stuff.
She's like, what do you want? Bad things happen?
Is this Angela blasting?
No, it's not bad things happened. It's we know who you are.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh, it's the old man.
Yeah.
It's that old man from earlier.
No, hey, is this Angela so-and-so?
I think that's that old man.
It didn't sound like the old man.
The voice on the other line says, is this Angela so-and-so? Yes. Is your father so-and-so? Yeah. I know who you are. Don't wear your mask. And come to, like, this area.
The big tree.
You have something to see.
Yeah. And
so she hangs up, goes to her husband, gives him a gun, and also does, like, a power move on her bed, goes to...
Oh, dude. So cool.
There are actually beds like that.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can hide a shotgun in case of a home invasion. So she gets her shotgun, she gets the pistol. So obviously her husband knows that she's still a cop.
Yeah.
Hands him the gun's like, if you see anyone besides me come up the driveway, shoot them.
Yep.
Just like, pop, pop. And then she drives off.
Pop. Sorry.
Then she drives off, and she sees the old man with the note, holding the note.
Watch over this boy.
Judd strung up in a tree, lynched, essentially, like lynch style.
He did.
And then it goes to him, and the camera just pans down to his feet.
And the old man, first of all, the old man's like,
what's
going on?
The old man's like this. And the camera pans down to the badge, and we get the famous blood splatter, like the comedian button in Watchmen, and that's where it ends.
And then I'm reminded of of the old man asking Angela if he can lift 200 pounds.
That's what broke Ben.
That's what broke.
Half an hour ago. Yeah. So that makes me wonder, because again, I'm going off the trailer that I saw. He says a line where Angela's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "Maybe I'm Dr. Manhattan," and I don't think he's Dr. Manhattan.
No.
But a part of me is thinking of the movie Dogma by Kevin Smith, where God accidentally gets trapped into the body of a comatose person. And it makes me think of something like that. And I'm like, is Dr. Manhattan experimenting with people? And then I'm getting too far into theories. I'm like, that's not it. Don't think too far into it.
I have a bit of a theory.
What's your theory?
He is her grandfather.
I think he's that little boy from the beginning.
No, that he is the little boy.
Well,
from
of course
the beginning.
he's the little boy.
Yeah.
He's of course he is the little boy from the beginning, but he is her great grandfather.
You think so?
I don't think so.
I don't think they're related.
Because she's from Vietnam. She was born there.
Yeah,
and
she was born there, but his son could have traveled overseas.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
I highly doubt it.
I think he is tied to Dr. Manhattan in some way that we don't know yet.
But I do like his because I did watch the previews and and they were talking. He's like, "There's no way you could have strung him up," and she's like, "Sorry." He's like, "I'm 105 and you curse too much."
Yeah, he's an old guy.
Yeah.
So he definitely didn't do the murdering, but he ended up there somehow. I don't know.
Well, there's a question of like, who turned on the white light?
Yeah.
When she pulls up, because we don't see it. And
Yeah,
we don't see them.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying I don't think it's the old man on the phone.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's the guy who we heard in the 7th Cavalry video doing Rorschach's speech.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident it was that same voice, so I'm pretty sure it's that guy.
Man, how does he get this information? Ooh, did they got a mole?
Ooh.
Panda! I don't know.
Is someone in
see.
the police force secretly with the 7th Cavalry?
Oh, man.
Is it all a big joke?
Well, dude, the comedian thinks everything's a joke.
I know.
You're right, yeah.
I'll tell you what I really hope, because this has done a lot of like gray matter. Like, I'm totally fine if there are like cops that are on, you know, betraying the 7th Cavalry, and we go down that kind of road.
I would be shocked.
What I really hope, and I highly doubt the show would do it, please don't have every white cop be a bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't go down that road.
I know. like Jed, he was one of the white cops that we saw. The only white, well, besides Red Scare and
there are definitely white. There's plenty of white cops in that room.
Yeah,
there's black. There's
mixed.
white.
Yeah. I want to say this show is, at least for this first episode, has done a tasteful enough job of like not being too what's the word? Like stereotypical, I guess, while still being like true to life. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not.
I don't think every white cop. I think the show is smart enough to not make every white cop just the bad guy.
Nothing, as we've talked about throughout this discussion.
Yeah.
Nothing about this episode is playing to one side of prejudice.
Yes.
Right.
It's playing to both.
Yeah.
So I highly doubt it would happen in the show. I just really don't want to see that kind of thing created. Yeah, I definitely think the 7th Cavalry is the
But that being said, like, there's not going to be, like, a black cop member part of the 7th Cavalry, right? Like, it's going to be a white guy.
And just in that same token, like, not going with prejudices,
Yeah.
I'm not throwing shade your way about this, but, like, I don't think they're related because not all black people on a show have to be related.
Sure.
And I don't think that he's her grandpa. I don't think that they have that direct family connection. I think it's going to be something else that's going to be the bridge of why they stay in each other's lives.
Honestly, that was just a thought I had in my head.
Sure.
What I'm really curious about is if Tulsa 1921 actually has, of course, besides being like a historical event, having like actual impact in the Watchmen universe, like, because like besides just being like an event, like, is there going to be something supernatural, or like scientific, or like something time travel related that brings us back here? Because it's kind of weird. It's not weird. It's just I'm trying to see where it's the starting point for this chapter of the Watchmen universe. And I'm like, there's nothing too crazy about it besides it being an historical event, you know?
Yeah.
And like, it's not like Vietnam where Dr. Manhattan's there to usher in a new Vietnam era. So I'm curious if we're going to go back to there for any reason. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's just like the setting the table, or if it's something we're going to go back to more.
Do you guys think White Night was more of a, not nationwide, but more than just one localized event? Mm-hmm. Or do you think it only happened in Oklahoma?
I think it's too early to say.
I want to say it was kind of maybe a region thing.
Yeah, but maybe like a southern.
Like
that's what I mean. It's like, that's why I said not quite nationwide, but just Oklahoma.
There was a line, did you hear Judd was talking about, we don't want another Oregon.
Uh-huh.
So that means something happened in Oregon that's worse than like something with a White Knight happened.
You're right.
And he's like, we don't want it to turn into Oregon. So something happened in Oregon after the White Knight that made all of this worse, where this mask idea was a better alternative.
Yeah.
So some shit happened up north that I'm really curious about.
I'm really looking forward to find out the lore about.
Because I think that's why the White Knight thing. I think it might be like a regional thing, but something way worse happened in Oregon.
Yeah. But the one thing in the episode, the one thing that got me as like a big comic book fan was, of course, the blood on the badge.
Yeah, it's a good touch.
I mean, that was the thing. It's like I knew these.
There's a lot of parallels between the original book. Like Judd is like almost like a comedian-esque character, like looking like being hopeful in this crazy world.
The way he does the TikTok.
Yeah, and then he dies in the blood. Like there's
like
a lot
the blood
of
just hits the thing, just like the button did in the comic book. So I'm like, you know what? It's called Watchmen, so of course we're gonna see blood drip in some way, shape, or form like that.
Like honestly, I wasn't sure what the show was going to be. Especially at the beginning of this episode, I'm like, oh, this is some real heavy shit.
Yeah.
But it's still super comic booky, where it's just throwing out Looking Glass and Red Scare and like in Night Sister, Night Sister, and I'm like, this is still a comic book show, which is cool.
Everything about this universe, as someone who has read the book and who has seen the movie, does feel 100% like the Watchmen universe, just 30 years.
I'll tell you what, the Watchmen movie looks really pretty. The tone of this first episode is light years beyond that movie. That movie is a facsimile, fake version of the Watchmen universe. This feels like Watchmen 30 years later.
This does.
Like I love Watchmen, guys, and like I was so worried. I got a tattoo. I was so worried about the show. But again, much like Swamp Thing, like, oh man, they're really doing it the dirty. They're doing it great.
Already in the first 10 minutes, the first 15 minutes of the show, it hits you with a real historical event that apparently not a lot of people know about. Even people who live in Tulsa know about, and it's like, oh shit.
And also, Dr. Manhattan's on Mars.
They literally get out of the gates at a sprint, and they don't stop. It's just one after another.
The big yellow text like behind the characters, like
I love that.
It's very stylized. It's very good.
I bloody love that.
Yeah, they did a good job capturing the feel of the comic through the way that they filmed all of the episode. The music, I want to shout out,
awesome
because the music is great,
especially in the battle scene and in the cattle ranch scene. It was like synth. It was like almost like John Carpenter.
Oh, and I love the horror sounds when it's Judd driving.
It's very spooky. Like Looking Glass's interrogation was like pumping you full of music, and it's just like, everything about the show is
everyone felt uncomfortable.
Yeah,
except Looking Glass apparently, because he's like
he revels in being uncomfortable. It looks like he's into that. All around a really, really good first episode. Really good world building, really great characters. It sets up a mystery that it doesn't give you all the answers. And this is Damon Lindelof, who did Lost, and a lot of people don't like the way Lost ended. But he also did The Leftovers, which is an incredible, incredible show that, again, doesn't give you answers all the way through. You just have to go along with the journey.
Also, didn't he... I remember, because we talked about this when on our podcast when he was first picked to be the showrunner. And I remember after seeing this that he had a quote or an interview. It was like his uncle or someone, the closest family, was reading Watchmen as it was coming out. I was like, "Oh, you're not ready for this. You are not ready for this." And he's like, "Oh, yes, I am." And he read it. He's like, "Oh,
I wasn't ready for this." No, Watchmen is a very heavy and like real quick. Like that is Watchmen and The Dark Knight Returns came out right next to each other. Basically, that is a turning point in comics where comics did not just have to be kind of PG. They could be real serious, dealing with real topics, and it'd be considered art. Watchmen is one of the Times 100 greatest novels of all time.
Yeah.
It's not a novel. Not many comics. I think it's one of the only comics on there.
It's the only, as far as I know, it's the only comic book on there.
I think so. It might have been updated.
People have praised Watchmen as a piece of literature, not just as a comic book.
It's really good stuff, yeah.
Which is fantastic because it's freaking Watchmen.
And honestly, after the movie, and again, the movie is fine, but I never thought we would get something in the tone piece of Watchmen again. And HBO was like, "Yo, make your political show. Have it be about white supremacy in 2019." I'm like, "Mwah! Thank you, thank you. I love you." Yeah, I highly recommend the show. I think we all highly recommend it, right?
Oh yeah.
We're all going to continue to watch it. More Fake Nerds watch forever. I'm going to speak some more Latin.
Yeah.
We gotta learn Latin, guys.
More Fake Nerds Watchmen. It's a shame the way that white people are attacking the show for what it's doing.
Not to bring up like Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic or anything, but this show,
but it's important.
It's universally loved by critics, and it has it has a 45% with audiences. And one, because white people suck. Also, it's a very smart show that's not giving you all the answers immediately, and I don't think people like that kind of show.
Here's the thing. I love that.
I do
because
too.
it makes me want to watch more.
Sure.
I want to know what happened in Oregon. I want to know what the White Knight was. I want to know why...
Show me Robert Redford.
Yeah, I want to see Robert Redford. I want to know what Ozzy is planning. If that is... But that is Ozzy. I want to know what he's planning. I want to know what happened to... I want to see Lori. I want to see what happened to her after the events. I want to see what happened to Dan. I want to see... We got that scene of Dr. Manhattan picking up the stupid mask. I want to see Dr. Manhattan. I want to see it all.
I'll be honest, I don't want to see too much of anyone from the comic.
Okay.
Frankly. I'd rather it, stand on its own.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the one reason I am glad that Sally Laurie Blake, is in this show, because she's kind of the one character that gets the less to do and the less well-written stuff in the comic, because Alan Moore, he doesn't write women very well often, to be honest. He was a writer.
It's a weak point.
He was the writer of the 70s and 80s. He has his faults, but giving her a bigger push to allow her to be a better character is something I'm very interested in, because all the other people in that comic are really fleshed out. She's kind of like a girlfriend character in a lot of ways that kind of sucks. Yeah. So it's really cool that they're going to elevate that character for me.
But I want to see all the stuff. I'm ready for this ride. I want to see what happened to the old man. I want to see... I'm glad that we didn't get all the answers in the first episode. I'm glad we were given these lore bits that were like, wait, what happened there? What's going on here? Mm-hmm. What were the series of events that led to this moment? What were the series of events that led to this person's...
It feels like a good first issue of a comic book.
Yes,
too, yeah.
Exactly. This is the first issue of a great maxi series.
Yeah. Watchmen is such a well-crafted and thought through from beginning to end piece.
Don't look it up before Watchmen. Don't worry about it.
Piece of work. I hope that they've planned properly, not just for this season, but anything that will go past.
Right.
So that it feels like it all builds properly the way that Watchmen has always felt, the way this episode feels like it is, that everything is coalescing towards that one whole.
Yeah.
Not the feeling that you get when you see Force Awakens to Last Jedi and you're like, oh, they're kind of making it up as they go, and that's okay, I guess. Not to throw too much shade at that, but but Watchmen's not a property that I feel like will flourish very well in that. Like, if we get to season 1 and a lot of the questions have been answered, then it's like season 2 is like, and then there's... I don't know. I hope that that's not...
It's very curious if... because nobody... I'm sure they would want to make more seasons if they got the chance, but are they trying to tell a long form story? Are they trying to tell the 7th Cavalry is this season and then something else is next season? It's really interesting to see the trajectory of this universe.
Part of me wants to...
I can't even say I want more seasons because I don't know how this one...
For sure. It's a little too early to say that. My only point being
I want Watchmen forever, though.
My only point being I do want to get all those answers. I'm kind of of a place where this doesn't feel like a show where I want to reach the end of season 1 and be sitting with some kind of cliffhanger.
Right. Yeah.
This doesn't feel like that, but at the same token, I'm like, if everything is answered in this first season, I don't know that I'll ever want more.
Yeah, because you don't want to ruin something that's perfect.
Right. So my thing is, after this first episode, if there's only one season of Watchmen, and they just want to make this one story, one cohesive story, beginning, middle, end, and that is it, I'm okay with it. Because I don't want to be... Because I was thinking about this today, and it was if they make more seasons of Watchmen, what can they do with it? I mean, yes, there's probably so much they can do, and if this...
It's the future. They can do literally anything.
I mean, if this is the first episode of what we're getting, and obviously the showrunners have... David Lindelof, right? He obviously has a plan. He knows what he's doing. But just for me, it's just give me the first season. Just tell the story that you want to tell, and by the end of the first season, I can probably give you a better cohesive answer. But as of now, I'm just ready for this season. I don't want to think about seasons 2. I don't want to think about...
I'm sure they don't either.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Because they're just let's just get this first season out.
But that's kind of my point, is that, if it is something where they're intending it for it not to be a miniseries, I want them to have thought about where they're going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't want it to be something they leave open-ended and are uncertain of the future.
I don't want this to turn into a Twin Peaks, where season 2... is really bad because they figure out the mystery and then they don't know what to do afterwards.
But on that same token, I do want this to turn into a Twin Peaks where they do it and then they don't do anything else for a long time until they have a really good story, and then they come back and they just murder me.
We're doing a Fake Nerds Watch sequel when we're in our 50s.
Oh no!
Oh great! I'm into it. Yeah. So I think that'll wrap up this first episode.
Yeah.
What was this episode called again? We're running out of ice?
This is the end of summer, and we're running out of ice.
Yeah.
Or maybe I probably.
I was just looking up to see if I can't find.
Is it 10 episodes?
That's what I was.
It should be 12 episodes. If we're being honest, come on, guys.
It's 9.
3, 6, 9. That's fine. 9 is like a clock. I'll take it. Any increments of 3, I'm happy with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our next episode is called "Marital Feats of Comanche Horsemanship."
Wow.
So what's the first episode called again?
It's summer and we're running out of ice.
There we go. It's the end of summer.
It is summer and we're running out of ice.
Yep.
Well, that'll do it on this episode of Fake Nerds Watch, guys. Thanks for sticking around. If you guys like Watchmen, talk to me about it. All I want to do is talk about Watchmen.
Talk to us about it. I like to talk about Watchmen.
Yeah, I will say, like, this...
Don't talk to me.
He hates Watchmen.
He hates it.
No, I love it.
I honestly,
just
like,
don't talk to me.
If this first episode were like a pilot and then it never got picked up again or anything, like, there's so much, like, enough world building and stuff where I'm like, this is a cool look into the future of Watchmen. I'd be happy with, like, never seeing anything else again. Because, like, I got my sequel. Of course I want the rest of the season, but I'm like,
sure.
Hell yeah, this is the future. This is a cool future.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to be back in this Watchmen universe.
I am too.
Sorry, Zack Snyder.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
I think
I know you too well, Ryan. No, you are not.
I think the show deserves a lot of praise for going at the political avenues that's obviously hitting for, and doing them in a way where it's trying to acknowledge, like, all different kinds of perspectives, not trying to, while also, like, embracing entirely, like, white supremacy is terrible.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and it's very clear in this show that that's the case. But that doesn't mean that everybody who fights against white supremacy is morally correct all the time.
Because killing people is still kind of a bad thing.
Yeah, and I like that it's playing with all the kind of gray area
As Watchmen
that
is.
surrounds all that kind of political.
That's the whole point of Watchmen. Like,
Right.
what if your Batman is like a psychopath, and what if your Superman doesn't care about you?
And it is not easy to make a show about that kind of thing, and it is not easy to get a studio to say yes
HBO.
to a show about that kind of thing.
This is the
so
same studio.
Everybody, like, great job. I'm glad you're doing it.
2 things, real quick. They didn't say the N-word in this episode at all.
Yeah.
And like, I think of people like Quentin Tarantino and other filmmakers are like, to show black racism, you have to say the N-word. And I know a lot of people online were very, like, a lot of black people online were really liking this episode for portraying racism in, like, a way that's not negative. I mean, you know what I mean? Not in a way where, like, you have to, like, say the N-word or say things like that are demeaning.
It's not stereotyped.
It's not stereotyped, exactly.
It's like racism at its heart isn't like what you say. It's
subtext.
It's what you do. It's how you treat other people and what you think of them.
And 2, HBO was going to make a show called Confederacy by the Game of Thrones guys, which is about what if the South won the war. And they didn't make that show because, 1, that's not probably a good idea. And 2, just the people behind it maybe aren't the best people. So HBO knows when to say no to these types of things.
Yeah.
And they saw the idea of Watchmen, like, all right, you guys want to tell a real, like, a truthful realization about 2019, but also comic books. And I think that's very bold and awesome of them.
Yeah.
There was this great line that Angie told Trevor about the words of people would say. It's like, oh, those are all colorful rainbow. The something about the rainbow, and her saying is like, that's all crap.
Yeah.
There's the only thing that matters in this world is black and white.
Yeah.
Pretty
Well,
much
that's a morally gray thing of like, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, like her whole thing was like, the world isn't all these colors. It's black and white, good, evil, bad, like stuff like that.
Right. But that's the thing, is that the show itself is saying that's not really true.
Yeah.
That's not a perspective that you can live in, especially if you're going to actually address, like, racism and have a meaningful conversation about, like, the different perspectives of what that means and why it happens.
And
which
again,
is what the show is excelling at expressing.
Yeah. And again, having your police force be the masked vigilantes that were once outlawed raises just so many questions of what happened in the last 30 years that we got to this point. Again, the White Knight happened, but, like, we went from a point where these were outlawed to now these are our protectors.
Yeah.
And that is such a fascinating development for superhero culture.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, yo, man, it's pretty cool.
I gotta admit, I'm so fascinated in seeing, like, more of what Red Foundations have done for black people.
Yeah.
Because we have not had something go at what could reparations do.
Yeah.
Like this is. Nothing has ever done that, and it's awesome that it's happening.
So Damon Lindelof had a conversation with Ta-Nehisi Coates, right? Who is the current Black Panther writer, Captain America.
Okay.
But before that, he is a I don't know if he wants to appeal to, but he's an award-winning journalist.
Yes.
And he wrote this amazing article about reparations that Damon Lindelof talked to him about because he wanted to incorporate that stuff on the show. So he's not just coming at this from... Damon Lindelof's a white dude. He's not coming at this from just out of nowhere. He has done the research, and he's talked to black people about this type of thing. And it's so... the research has been done. It's not just, oh, let's just do a crazy story. It's like, no, let's tell a real story of what if this stuff happened also superheroes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's almost weird that we have to have like superhero stuff be there to talk about this real thing. But again, it's like, that's what culture is. That's what pop culture is. It brings you into these ideas.
Yeah,
they're radical.
Well, not only that, like, this show wouldn't get made right now without having the Watchmen connection.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, unfortunately, that's just true. Like, if you just tried to make a show about, like, hey, what if reparations?
Yeah.
And then how white people would respond, like, in the South. No.
Yeah.
No. We'll lose too much of our base of audience, so no to that. But you make Watchmen, and here you go. And already, like, I can't believe how many people are upset about this.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I was so stunned when you showed me the tomato meter for this.
Yeah.
I mean, the critics. I mean, because I know we keep saying this.
Rational people can recognize quality.
I know, but as a comic fan, as I was watching this first episode, I'm like, they're hitting the nail on the head every single second of this episode, and I'm like, I am digging this. I am like eating this up. I'm like, this is great.
People don't like being challenged.
Yeah, go on.
It's just that people don't like being challenged whether they're racist or not racist. They don't like confronting the idea of these things that are real life problems.
What I really want out of this show is I really want to get to the point where, like, people who are that way feel seen in a really uncomfortable way.
Yeah.
Like, in a really uncomfortable way.
So tell me
That's
why
what I want.
So, I don't like the Watchmen show because of this. Like, oh, really? Tell me more, please.
Yeah.
Please expose your real life.
Expose your racism.
Yeah, fiction will do that to people. Yeah, it'll
it's like,
expose them.
expose your racism.
Yeah. So I think that'll do it for this extra long, awesome episode of Fake Nerds Watch.
Right.
Yeah.
This has been a terrific first episode. I hope the quality level sticks with it.
Yeah.
Damon Lindelof has had a record, much like a J.J. Abrams, of not finishing the landing, so we'll see how it goes.
That's another reason why I brought up what I said
earlier. Luckily this isn't a lost situation where we're dealing with limbo and parallel universes and realities, so
that's true, but it is still kind of close to Leftovers, and from what I understand, that didn't quite go where people wanted it to.
Yeah,
I just don't want this to end like Game of Thrones ended.
I think Damon Lindelof is a smarter filmmaker than that. Hopefully.
We'll see. For now, it's good.
Also, he's not tasked to write Star Wars next, so there's that.
That's true. No.
For now, it's great.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yes.
For now, it's
First
great.
episode is...
So we are members of the Fake Nerd Podcast.
We are.
You can find us here on YouTube. We are slowly catching up on releasing our audio episodes here on YouTube. That's my fault.
We're busy, boys. He's a busy boy.
We are busy. We've been dropping a whole lot of spooky stuff related to Basement Arcade. And so there's still more of that to come soon.
And one of them, I get scared by my own shadow.
Right around the time this is up, Alien Isolation should be up. Really soon we'll have another video game up with Ben. We're finishing Blair Witch.
Mm-hmm.
New Sonic Mania is always going up.
Always.
Sonic Mania just came out this week, actually.
Yep. Yeah. If you watch Fake Nerds Watch, which is awesome, thank you for doing that, and you were watching The Dark Crystal with us.
Sorry!
We got so slammed, and it was a challenge to keep up with. We are going to finish Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. It will be done while we are doing Watchmen. We just could not miss this first week of Watchmen. We want to be on Watchmen week by week.
It's hard when
that's really important to us. So
Dark Crystal's out all at once, so like it's kind of hard to keep with the zeitgeist.
And it's the first show we've done with Fake Nerds Watch that was all dropped at once. So we've been trying to adjust to that, and frankly,
it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah,
week to week's easy.
We didn't want to pull a Stranger Things where we just watch the whole season and then talk about the whole season in about 2 hours. We wanted, especially with Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, we wanted to take it step by step.
Give it its due.
And
which especially.
And there's a lot of people watching those videos, and thank you for that.
Thank
That's
you
so awesome.
much. I'm sorry we couldn't do more.
We will finish talking about Age of Resistance. I promise. It's coming.
Unfortunately, life.
Yeah. Lots of projects.
But it's absolutely coming. So anyway, I'm Sparks Witty, and you can find me at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter. Ryan?
I am DJ Tony Snark and everything. Ben?
Oh boy, I was not ready for that.
I know.
You can find me on the internet at BenMagnet27 on Instagram and Twitter.
Awesome. You can check out the Fake Nerd Podcast anywhere that you check out podcasts. You can listen, you can subscribe, you can rate, review, here,
all at once.
There, anywhere. Please do all of that. And
until next time, Keith Custodis Ipsos Custodes.
Nope, you're on your own. Stay fake nerds.